Everyone. I am Connor Rose, and this is Under the Rose with Connor Rose. I'm your host, Connor Rose, if I didn't already make that clear. So, this is the first introduction episode. Just wanted to throw a few things out there. This is my brand new podcast. It's going to be on Spotify and soon YouTube. This is a audio podcast only as of right now. Hopefully in the future we get to have some cameras rolling. That way you can see my beautiful face and the guests. Mostly the guests. So, like I said, my name is Connor Rose. I'm from Southwest Virginia in a small town called Clintwood. I have always had dreams and aspirations of being a content creator of some sort, whether that was a podcaster, a YouTuber, Instagram influencer, a TikToker, whatever it had to be. I've always wanted to engage with social media and create in that type of way. And I think this is a great starter place to do that. And I just love to have good conversation with entertaining people, and that's mainly what this podcast is going to be all about, is having good, fulfilling conversations with people who I feel like have an entertaining backstory, have good knowledge to share, or just simply a good person that I believe deserves a platform to share about themselves. I think one of the scariest things you can do in life is not put yourself out there, because it's just, you're always gonna have to, there's always going to be some things that people don't know about you. There's always going to be that one thing that you wish someone knew about you, that you wish you could tell the world without having to just tell a single person that, like, if you want to talk about something that's happened in your past lives, or, something that's happened that you just don't want to share with one individual person, but want to kind of tell the world, So that's mainly what this podcast is for. It's going to start out very local, but the beautiful thing about local people is you find a lot of hidden gems. And I believe that there's a lot of those in my area. They're just hard to find. But once you find them, it's very well worth it. So, I have about 10 guests lined up, about 3 confirmed. I'm going to try to do this podcast weekly if possible. Maybe more, maybe less. It just totally depends on the situation and everything going on. Trying not to say too much. That's something I'm going to work on as we get further into this. So, 3 guests lined up. 10. It's like that episode of If You've Seen How I Met Your Mother. Robin, is a news reporter, and she keeps saying but and every time she says but the college kids take a shot at the bar, and they all end up really drunk, and that is Ted Mosby's fault. You're just gonna have to watch How I Met Your Mother. Strongly recommend that show if you've not seen it. But we're straight off topic here. So anyways, yeah, good guests. A lot of them you may not have heard of. Some of them you may have heard of. Each guest I bring on this show is going to have some sort of talent, some sort of story to tell, or some sort of entertainment that they can bring onto this set. Because I feel like no matter who you are, even someone as, quote unquote normal as me, it's like we all have something, even if it's something small. We all have something to share. Something that we can do that someone else can't do, or maybe even a thought that no one else has thought of. Maybe a joke that someone else hasn't told. It could be anything. So, the idea, or the way I want to run this, I want to be able to get someone on, and then meet other people and get someone else on, and just keep building my guests up as I go. And of course, no person is better than any other person, but there are certain guests that may potentially bring more eyes than others. And that's not the goal here, though. The goal is not just to view farm, to click farm, to farm likes. That's not the goal here. My goal is to start this podcast to be able to say I have a podcast. I want to do this to be able to talk and just let everything out whenever I need to. I want to do this to build my social skills. I want to do this to make new connections. I want to do this to strengthen my vocabulary. There's several reasons to do a podcast, and I think every man, should experiment with a podcast if you're interested in it. If you're interested in it, or if you've ever been listening to a podcast and just thought, maybe I could do this, or maybe I would try this, or maybe I would want to try this, or maybe this would be cool to try, or just imagine, if you even imagined yourself doing it. That's how I started. I just listened to a lot of different podcasts and thought, wow, it would be so cool to be a host of one of these and get to meet all these cool people and interview all these cool people and give these people a platform to be able to say what they need to say, or say what they want to say, or bring out the stories they want to bring out. So, like, again, Southwest Virginia, we're local here. Southwest Virginia, Clintwood area, Kingsport area, Johnson City area, but I'm not opposed to reaching out to people further away. Maybe eventually we can get guests on Zoom calls. Maybe we can get them linked up through a call or something. It doesn't have to be local. We're just going to start out local. And also, I think being on a podcast with someone in person, it just makes it more, I guess, personal. It just makes it more like conversational, I guess, opposed to being on a phone call or on a Zoom call. It's just, you're sitting right across from them. You can make eye contact and really just talk. Really just, like you do with your friends or whatever. So that's some of the ideas. Been putting this off for a while because I'm just now getting my microphones in, but have my microphones in, so that is awesome. That's what I've been waiting for so long. So yeah, you can find us on Spotify for now. Soon to be YouTube. Very soon to be YouTube. YouTube is the next platform I'm going to make sure I get this up on. And I'll do solo podcasts from time to time, but I don't want to bore you guys with those. So I'm going to do limited solo podcasts. But podcasts with guests, those are what's going to be fire. We got, just for example, we have musicians, we have social media people, we have athletes, we have, basketball players, football players, professional fighters, and the list goes on. People who have seen the absolute rock bottom, and people who have been at the main top. We welcome everyone here on Under the Rose. And yeah, I'm just very excited because some of these guests that I'm going to be able to have on here, I'm very excited. Mainly excited to be able to form a connection with a lot of these people that I'm going to be forming connections with through this podcast. And maybe even be able to get my name out there. It would be a dream to become like the next Joe Rogan or something, but that, that's shooting for the stars for sure. I have a few podcast inspirations. Joe Rogan's a big one. Theo Vaughn is a huge inspiration. I love that guy. Theo Vaughn, if you're listening to this for some reason, come on the podcast. But no, there's quite a few podcasts that I really enjoy. The Joe Rogan Experience, Impulsive with Logan Paul, This Past Weekend with Theo Vaughn. That's my big three. There's more though. I just have to think of them. But I'm very excited. There's only so many times I can say that, but I'm very excited to start this, as you guys know by now. But yeah, the first couple episodes, maybe expect some athletes. Maybe expect some social media influencers. Maybe even something off the wall. Maybe even a family member of mine. Maybe it could be a random person I meet anywhere. It just if, like I said, if they have a story they could tell and they're mildly entertaining, and can talk for more than maybe 45 minutes to an hour, then we're in there. You could come on the podcast. Gonna go ahead and throw this out there. Anyone who's listening that has any inquiries about the podcast, questions, anything like that, you can hit up my email, sonofarose3@gmail.com. That is sonofarose3@gmail.com. SONOFAROSE3@gmail.com. So any inquiries about the podcast, any questions, you can go ahead and send those over that way. Okay, I guess that's everything for the introduction episode. The episode with the guest is going to be a lot longer whenever that comes out, so be ready for that. But go ahead and give me a like, subscribe, or follow whatever platform you're watching on. And we will have a lot of successful podcasts coming up here in the future, so I hope you guys have enjoyed this introduction episode. You've kind of got a vibe of how this is all going to go, and I hope that maybe I could be your new favorite podcast host that you listen to weekly. So we'll see how it goes. But without further ado, thank you for listening, and we'll see you on the first episode.